when you do in fact choose to use performance-enhancing drugs, it comes at a cost. If perhaps some of you can watch this video and think of it and use it as a deterrent, perhaps some of you won't have to go through this in the first place. Coach Greg, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Noel Deyzel's downhill struggle. As many of you know, Noel Deyzel is on his third surgery attempt to try and fix his abdominal wall.
So there's something I need to talk about, and it's the reason why you never see me with my shirt off. As a lot of you will remember, around 2 years ago, I had surgery on my stomach. And well, that entire surgery was a failure.
And so 2 years ago, he developed a hernia. This is very, very common, especially amongst bodybuilders who are lifting extremely heavy weights. Now, it doesn't always happen from lifting weights. For example, I had my first hernia when I was 4, had surgery, and it was successful. And my second surgery took place over 10 years ago. Now, most of the time, if people take it easy, these surgeries, they recover very well. But in Noel's case, it was one of the exceptions where things just wouldn't work.
I have to go in for corrective surgery, and it's a little bit more complicated. I don't want to over dramatize this or be negative, because my previous surgery's recovery was just traumatic.
Unfortunately, Noel Deyzel's surgery, it failed. And he's struggling knowing that he can't do anything about it. He literally just has to sit in his chair. He can't go to the gym. He can't go for a walk. He has to sit back and recover. And so remember this, Noel Deyzel was so uncomfortable with his hernia, with the way that it looked, that he refused to take his shirt off. He felt like perhaps the world would stare at him, to make fun of him, and so on. This is the same man that as a child he felt skinny, and because of that, he resorted to using and abusing performance-enhancing drugs. It may or may not have been caused by using steroids, but when you use steroids, it makes your body that much stronger. When your muscles get stronger, there is a chance of getting injured. And so whether or not you want to believe that this hernia, this abdominal tear was caused from using steroids, they certainly may have led to this happening. And so oftentimes when people think about using steroids, they're thinking, I don't want to get gyno, I don't want to get acne, I don't want to lose my hair, perhaps I don't want to have a heart attack or a stroke, but there are many other things that can happen. And so let me point out the following. Just because you have a hernia or an irregularity, some gyno, a zit, you should still feel comfortable taking your shirt off. Noel Deyzel's a stud. 300 pounds of muscle, dieted down, currently 260 pounds. Yet because of the hernia, because of the problems as a result of this, he never felt comfortable taking his shirt off. I coach people with colostomy bags. My sister, who has stage 4 terminal cancer, she would go to the beach. Colostomy bag. There are people out there with far worse. Now, I'm not saying he has no right to be sad or upset, but when you think that things are down, that you're down in the dumps, perhaps you got an injury, you broke your leg, you broke your arm, your elbow, your tricep, you can't walk, you had an operation. You can't be depressed. You need to stay positive. A little update for you guys. It's been a lot, bros. I am okay and I will be okay. I just can't wait for this to be over. Love and appreciate you guys. And so unfortunately, even this third surgery was led with complications. He's been readmitted into the hospital and he can't go and exercise, he can't walk. It's a very difficult surgery to recover from. And so I'm making this video to make you all aware that when you do in fact choose to use performance-enhancing drugs, it comes at a cost. No one wishes this on anyone. But if perhaps some of you can watch this video and think of it and use it as a deterrent, perhaps some of you won't have to go through this in the first place.
And to be honest with you, it's really been very taxing on me, not just physically, but
mentally, it's really taken quite a toll on me too.
And so for Noel, it's almost harder mentally than it is physically. Physically, his body has to repair, he has to relax. But mentally, this is a man who loves to exercise, to explore the world. He doesn't sit back and watch TV, doesn't read books, and so on. And so when I'm watching this, all I can think of is how appreciative I am that I get to do what I want to do. I'm not bedridden, I'm not suffering from anything that's preventing from me from doing what I want. And so when I think of people who are not exercising, who are sitting back thinking, I don't want to go to the gym. They're sitting down in their chair, watching TV, scrolling the internet, and so on, while other people are bedridden. They're in the hospital. Guys like Noel, guys who are suffering, perhaps dying from cancer. They would trade perhaps every last moment of their life to have one day where they could go for a walk, where they could go to the gym, where they could exercise. Exercise is a reward, and many people out in the world, they view it as a punishment. 50% of the world is obese. No need to punish yourself after you eat. Do you know how disturbing it is for me when I hear people call
Exercise punishment?
exercise is a reward? You take your health for granted. You don't give a shit. You don't care. It's as if the Lord is wasting his energy, giving some people all the glory, all the benefits. They're healthy, they can do anything they want, while other people are stricken with things that they have no control over. You don't exercise, you don't eat healthy, you don't put the fork down, you just waste it. Many of you, perhaps you're abusing performance-enhancing drugs, you're not thinking to the future. And yes, perhaps I'm a hypocrite. I used and abused performance-enhancing drugs. At least I waited until I was in my 30s. But when you get older, perhaps you'll think back to this moment when you watched this Coach Reg video where I said, don't take your health for granted. You won't be able to rewind the clock. You don't think that if Noel Deyzel could speak to his former self, the teenager, the guy that felt skinny, that he would say, Noel, you're good enough. You don't need steroids. You don't need to weigh 300 pounds. Do you really think that he would wish this on anyone? Once you get back your blood work, once you find out that you've done damage that you can't reverse back, that's when you'll regret it. While you're feeling invincible. Guy like Togi, making perhaps millions of dollars, abusing steroids, recreational drugs, and so on. He doesn't have any regrets. Why would I want to live to be 50? Once you get older and you have the wisdom, the experience to know, you now understand the mistakes that you made.
I have gone through this a few times. I shattered my toe, bicep tendon rupture, the hernia surgery before, gynecomastia.
Yes, many of these because of performance-enhancing drugs.
The most important thing that you can do after surgery is rest.
And so he points out that you do need to take the time for rest. I can agree and disagree. In his particular circumstance, yes, he has to rest. But for most people, what most people do is they rest too much. When you go through surgery, when you're injured, it's not the time to just say, the hell with it. I'm going to go on a bulk, I'm going to eat junk food, I'm going to sit back and do nothing. Do you know how many times I've been injured? How many surgeries I've had? You see me with crutches with a hip operation in the gym 2 days after surgery. Multiple times torn my muscles, had both elbows broke separate occasions. I'm going to the gym. If you just sit back and do nothing, what is the point? Imagine if I had taken 6 months when I was allowing my meniscus to heal, when I couldn't use my right leg. I would have withered away to nothing. I didn't want that. I kept going to the gym and I trained the left leg. Oh, but you can't lift anything more than 10 pounds. No problem, doc. I'll do sets of 50 with 10 pounds. That is the difference. That's the time when you separate the people who truly want it from those who don't.
I just wanted to get calories in. Because the last thing that you want to do is be at a calorie deficit when you're going through recovery.
This is not actually true. When you go through surgery, you don't suddenly up your calories. It is in fact true, yes, that your BMR, your metabolism, increases when you're injured. Depending on the extent of the surgeries, it could be up by perhaps as high as 50%. You're in a complete car accident, you're injured from head to toe. But typically, for example, if you had breast implant surgery or you're going through a surgery such as Noel Deyzel, your metabolism is probably up by approximately 30%. Well, that's great. You're burning extra calories. But you don't need to eat more. And why do you think that is? Because your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, combined with your exercise is greatly diminished. And so you actually need fewer calories. And so rather than getting fat while you're undergoing surgery, why not eat less? If you're sitting in the hospital bed most of the day, barely going for a walk, why are you eating more calories?
I got myself an EMS, so I can actually have a pretty good workout.
And remember, many people get frustrated. I've coached people who've gotten injured. It's almost inevitable that if you've been training long enough, you're going to go through some form of injury. Muscle memory is a real thing. When you do go back to the gym, it's going to be like Christmas because you're going to get so much better very, very quickly. Once I was okay to squat after my hip surgery, and I could only squat with 185 pounds, it took almost no time to squat back up to 500. If you do, in fact, have to be forced to take a layoff, remember, it's going to be extremely fun to join the gym yet again.
But I make sure that I'm in a calorie surplus because you don't want to be in a calorie deficit when you're going through a recovery period. Your body needs those calories. Don't starve yourself of calories and nutrients when you're trying to recover.
And so that's where I disagree. I don't think that you need to go in a calorie surplus to bulk up, in other words, when you're going through surgery. Typically, almost always, anyone who goes through surgery is going to lose multiple pounds, perhaps 10 plus. It happens very quickly. I mean, let's be honest, for the most part, you're going to be far less hungry. It's going to be very difficult to eat. I know that when I went through my hernia surgery, I lost 10 pounds. It was very difficult. I was unable to stand up, to walk to the kitchen to go eat. And so, unfortunately, I had to sit there and eat my bowl of blueberries and yogurt because it was about the only thing I could put down. You're bloated, you're in pain, you can't use your stomach. It's extremely difficult to sit up. I literally had more difficulty recovering from my hernia than I did from my hip operation, my knee injuries, and so on. Hey guys, thanks for taking the time to watch this update. This past week has been one of the toughest, both physically and mentally. If you're going through something similar, surgery, injury, setbacks, I truly hope this video gives you some value, hope, or peace of mind. And so I'm certain the millions of Noel Deyzel fans are praying for his speedy recovery, wishing him the best. And for the rest of you, if you're uncomfortable for taking your shirt off because you have a hernia, perhaps you have some extra skin, perhaps you're not tanned enough, who cares? The gyno that you have, the acne that you have, we all have something. Nobody's perfect. And trust me, no one, absolutely no one is going to judge your physique as critically as you are. No one's looking at you thinking, oh, I can't believe that person. What is wrong with that person? You're the only one. Do not concern yourselves with what other people think. The moment you can say, I don't give a shit what other people think about me, the moment you're going to be happier than last time. Stop giving a shit about what other people think about you and be the best person that you can be. That is not being perfect. It's about being your best self, your best authentic self. Try to stay natural. Try not to think that you need to resort to using steroids to fit in this world, that you're too skinny fat, that you're too fat, that you're too this or too that you're not short enough, that you're not tan enough, that you're not man enough, that you're not woman enough. Stop it.
Get some help.
Now, remember, if you're interested in getting a free diet and training program, you can get this. Click the link in the description. And also, we now have at HDLT Supplements 50% off indefinitely off the Seco protein bars. That means for $20, you get 12 bars, delicious s'mores protein bars. All you gotta do is enter the code Seco, C-I-C-O. Remember, I'm also doing coaching plans by me and my team. If you're interested in living a healthier life than last time, being healthy, doing it in a safe environment, please click the link in the description and apply today. The coaching prices have been slashed. It's now much more affordable for many more people. And so if you're interested, head to the website. Watch those two boobs right now. And of course, there's cookbooks and supplements. And if you want to get with Transcend, click the link in the description. I partnered with them. And until next time, I am out.